Greetings, everyone. You have arrived at Optimize Her2 on YouTube. We welcome you and thank you so much for spending time with us. And we are going to have a special guest here with us tonight who's going to be talking about a topic that's really interesting. Your imagination is your superpower. And I'm not talking about Superman here. You are the superpower. I'm your host, Barbara E. Ringers. I'm the founder of Wow Women Optimizing Women. You can see me at wowwomenus.com. And I will be here tonight with my co-creator, LaQuincia Nichols. And she is the founder of her business, experiencecoaching.com. And we're sitting down here with Leanne Cannon. Leanne Cannon is one of those Jacqueline of all trades. She is not only the president and founder of her own coaching business, Cannon Coaching, but she is also the founder of Divas with a Dream, a bunch of ladies who get together and talk about their entrepreneur experiences. So just setting the right expectations. We're here for 30 to 45 minutes to speak to you tonight. And we are on YouTube the first and third Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So get ready for an action-packed 30 to 45-minute podcast here with us, ladies. And I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute professional, legal, financial, or medical advice. Although the people that come on board here and speak with you on Optimize Her2 are quite experienced in their professions and also have a lot of personal experience as well. Always consult a qualified professional or for personalized guidance. I think that's just a great rule of thumb. So on that note, I'm going to introduce Quincy Nichols to you from Arizona. Hey, Quincy, how are you?
Hey, Barb. Hi, Leanne. I'm so excited. We're back for another episode. We are moving and grooving with the Optimize Her2 podcast. As you all know, I am the owner and founder of experience-coaching.com. And there I work with highly motivated and ambitious professional women to unleash their fiercest truths in the moments that matter most. But what I want to share with you now is another ambitious woman who's doing a lot to serve the people around her. It is Miss Leanne Cannon. She is an author, award-winning motivational speaker, business and life coach, mindset mentor, and mediation facilitator. She's the CEO of Cannon Coaching and Connecting. I love that name, LLC, providing private and business life coaching, as well as group coaching and personal development services. She empowers entrepreneurs and others as a mindset mentor, helping them realize the power of their own thoughts and emotions. So I'm so excited for our session today. I'll call it our podcast episode. Leanne, welcome to the Optimize Her2 podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. And I just love you both. I think you're both just awesome.
We love you too.
Thank you so much. We love you too, Leanne.
Well, listen, when you asked me to come on here today, and I was thinking about, well, what should we really talk about? And your imagination is your superpower is what I really wanted to talk about, because I want to ask the ladies here, aren't you tired, just tired of the hustle, the grind, the worry, the anxiety associated with running your business and your life? You find yourself waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with your mind racing ever. I'm sure that happens. You know you're meant for more. Yeah. You know you're meant for more. You can feel it, in your bones. But sometimes it feels like the harder you work, the more you stay the same. I call it treading water. You're moving like mad. Your whole body's engaged, but you're not going anywhere. And I just want you to know that there is a better way. That's what we're going to talk about today.
That's exciting. You mentioned a quote a while back from Napoleon Hill. Of course, Napoleon Hill is a very interesting speaker and author as well. You're an author. And you said your imagination is the most marvelous, or actually, you quoted Napoleon. Your imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. What? How could that
Yeah.
possibly be true? Isn't that an overstatement, Leanne? And what does that ever mean? And who is Napoleon Hill to make such a statement anyway, like that, as if it's fact?
Yeah,
Such
I think our listeners need to know who is Napoleon Hill and who is he to say all of this greatness?
Hmm.
Oh, I love those questions, girls. I love it. And it makes sense to ask those questions because it does sound like an exaggeration. Our imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. The thing is, Napoleon Hill was in a position to see the imagination of many men in action. You may know that he is the author of Think and Grow Rich, and he was commissioned to interview the most wealthy men in the world at that time for 20 years. So he watched the imagination of these people come to life and came to realize the miraculous power of the imagination alone. And when you really think about it, every single thing that we see in our life, in our home, even what we're wearing, like my little jewelry here, had to be an imagination, had to spring from someone's imagination.
And you don't think about that. But, somebody designs something, somebody makes something, somebody creates something. AI, for instance, came from the imagination of someone, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
And with Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, that's a book that's regarded and touted as one of the better ones out there for people who are looking for growth and development.
Yes, it's so true. It's a classic at this point, and it feels like a must read, under
Oh, yeah.
like a foundational piece of reading. Um, I want to mention a quote from someone else too, right in line with what Napoleon said, and that was Neville Goddard. He's a teacher from back in the day, you would say, of the laws of attraction, frequency, energy, and vibration. And he said, imagination is creation. And this is so important to really understand. It's accurate. And once you know the power behind that, we start to recognize that we are creating all the time, 24/7, because we're thinking all the time. No stop, no pause. And
Mhm.
so Neville was saying that as we are imagining, it's not just like a whimsical thing. We are creating. And he also further said that our inner conversation creates our outer life experience. That is so heavy. I want to talk about
That
that.
is powerful. That's really, really powerful, Liam, because it makes me think about imagination beyond childhood, right? And sometimes and when we're in a childhood phase of our life, we oftentimes are allowed the space to imagine, to dream big. But as you start to mature and you get older, the imagination is sort of pushed down and you have to sort of stay like pushed in reality. And I see this as an opportunity to bridge that gap, to let your imagination almost inform your strategy, right? So you can be in alignment with what brings you pleasure, but then also what is something that you can sort of realize and actualize from your imaginative thoughts.
Oh, that's so true, Quincy. So well put. So much there to really to unpack. And when you mentioned about childhood, it- that is when our imagination went wild, right? I mean,
Mhm.
without even prompting, nobody had to prompt us to do that. If
Right.
anything, once we got in school, it was stop daydreaming,
Mhm.
Right.
get your head back out of the clouds, right?
Or
So,
when you become an adult.
Oh, yeah.
especially then. And so, but even from that point, it's like we were kind of programmed to squash down our imagination and then like you said, Barbara, when we're an adult, it's like, who do you think you are, right? You can't do this. You don't have the money for that. You're too old. You're too young. Whatever it might be, and we kind of adopt those thinkings and
Yeah.
and create feelings that will hold us back. And one thing that I'll mention right here, and we'll keep talking, but it is true that so many people imagine worst case scenarios, not realizing that just the idea, just the fact that they're imagining these worst case scenarios and they wonder why their life is going in the wrong direction is having a direct effect.
Yeah. You're so focused on the thing that you don't want, you don't realize that that is what your focus. And like, from everything I've always been taught, like, it'd be so simple. It's like, oh, I don't want to get a ticket. But if all you think about is not wanting to get the ticket, then you're going to get the ticket.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah,
Right,
it gets
right.
back to what we heard even in the movie called The Secret, for some of you who have seen
Mhm.
that. What you think about, you bring about. But the thing is
Yes,
that
yes.
feels like a phrase. It feels like a phrase. It's true. Like you said, I love the example of the ticket. I don't want a ticket. I
Mhm.
don't want a ticket. I don't want a ticket. I don't want you're guaranteeing you're getting pulled over right there. Okay.
Right,
When
right.
you think
I
about
think it transforms into success as a person, whether it's we've talked about money here back in December with our men's panel, and money and success, wealth, and so forth. And one of the things that I have a friend who just talks about, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money, since we were very young, and present day, it became true.
Mhm.
You can talk yourself into a situation with that negativity. And I think that's one of the things we need to encourage one another, because I know, Leanne, you've had your own transformational experiences, girl.
indeed, big time. Yes,
Mhm.
indeedy. And here's the thing. These these phrases, what we're talking about, they're not philosophies, they're not concepts. It's really law. It's just law. We can get into that a little bit too. But the thing is once we recognize the power behind our own imagination, our own thoughts and feelings, now we realize that we have way more control over our life than maybe we even thought we had. Because a lot of times we feel like we're in bumper cars. I'm bumped this way and I go that way and I'm bumped this way and I go that way. But once you understand that you have the power by virtue of your thoughts and feelings to direct traffic, to put your hands on the wheel, now you have more control over what happens next to you or for you in your life and in your business.
Well, you talk about the law of attraction. Can you like go into that a little bit of what that means? It's not really a law, right?
Uh, oh, my favorite topic. Man, did you bait me right there?
Yeah.
I love it. Well, in the first place, I just want to say that once you understand these laws, uh, it becomes a responsibility for us, but also it's liberating for us. It's a responsibility because we're the only ones thinking in our head. We're the ones that have that control. But it's liberating to know that we do have that control. Um, so when you said that about the law of attraction, I just have to say that I didn't always think so. There was a time when I thought this is just a bunch of hoo-ha. And in fact, I started to blow the whole thing off. I really did. I came this close. So grateful today that I did not. Because what I discovered is these are laws, just like the law of gravity or the law of gestation. They're just laws. So it doesn't matter who you are. And I don't know if I did this before or not, Barbara, not to be redundant. Did I bust out my little magnets here?
No,
Not
I
yet.
don't recall seeing your little blue and red magnets. Like, tell us what
Okay.
they're all about.
Great deal. I'll be happy to. And the reason is because it's so simple and it's so recognizable and so understood. We learned about magnets in school. Opposites attract. It's attraction.
Mhm.
A positive and
Positive
negative,
and a negative.
easy, easy peasy. And it doesn't matter who holds these puppies. If I handed them to you, they'd act the exact same way. And I didn't come on thinking, man, I sure hope this works for me this time. No, it's no surprise. Why? Because it's
Mhm.
law. It's law of magnetics. And I'm going to mention one more thing about this, and then I'll translate it into the laws of attraction with regard to energy. We also know that if you put a positive and positive together, like I've just done here, it doesn't matter how hard I work at this, what angle I use, I feel that pad of energy that's keeping this apart. And it doesn't matter what I do. I could do this for the rest of my life. It's not going together. And the reason is because it's law. Simple as that. Now, the difference between the law of attraction and the law of magnetics is that energy attracts energy like itself. Quite the opposite, but attracts just as well. One thing I didn't mention, and I do want to say it, is that if people don't understand how this works, they could be doing like this, working, trying to put this together. It's never going to happen. It doesn't matter how much they want it to happen. It doesn't matter how long they try. It doesn't matter how hard they work at it. It is not going together. And that's law too, because it's being used in the wrong way. And so it is with the law of attraction. A lot of people make mistakes they don't realize they're making, and they think, well, this doesn't work for me. Yes, it really will. And even when I had the positive and positive together and it wasn't going together, it's working exactly as it's supposed to. We just need to know how. So energy attracts energy like itself. So Quincy, just like you were saying, if somebody's thinking, and you too, Barb, if you're thinking negative, 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 guess what you're attracting? How can you possibly attract?
100%. I've
Yeah.
done that before. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Me too. Absolutely didn't know a clue about what I was doing. In the first place, I didn't even know that my thoughts went out. I thought I'd just keep my thoughts to myself. That never happens. But I didn't know it. Our the energy from our thoughts can be measured, and they are always going out, emitting a frequency. And so sometimes I like to use the radio as an example, because we're talking frequencies and receiving what we want. So if I'm in the mood for jazz, I want to kick back with a glass of wine and listen to some jazz right now. It doesn't matter how much I'm in the mood for jazz or how much I want it. If my radio dial is on country, I ain't getting it. And it's not that that music is not being played, and it's not that it's not available to me, but I need to get on the right frequency where that music is being played so then I can receive it. And everything is like that.
What a great analogy that is.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about frequencies as you just did, what a great analogy. Because if you're not on the same frequency with someone else, no matter, and I have people in my life throughout my lifetime that I've had that experience, no matter what you want to do to help them, unless they're on the same frequency, they're not moving, they're not going anywhere.
That's right, Barbara.
For
It's like
you.
the positive and positive together. You can work, work, work. It's just not gonna happen. Hey,
Mm.
I have another analogy. I didn't make this one up. This is something I read, and I thought this is kind of cool. I just read this recently, so let me get it right. Our imagination is like a paintbrush. Our emotions are like the color palette, and our life is the canvas. So that when we are told we create our own reality, it's one way to look at it.
Very much so, like a beautiful picture of Monet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's so much going on there. But back to entrepreneurs, I think
Yeah.
this information is good for whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you're a stay-at-home mom or dad or whatever it happens to be, wherever you are in life.
Just life
Um,
advice. Yeah.
why is it that entrepreneurs stay in the grind? I mean, I remember when I was in mortgage, my God, that grind was so brutal. And what do you think about that? Why do people tend to stay in the grind then?
Oh, that's such a good question, Barbara. And it's so understandable because that's how we're programmed. From the time we're
Mm.
young, we're programmed. Work hard, you know, hustle. Really, that's it. That's where the badges come from. That's where the stars come. That's where the recognition comes from. It's like being in a canoe and being put in a river going upstream, and we're fighting against the stream all the time. We're working at it, and the more exhausted we are, the better a person we are. Like they're really going. They're working even harder than I am. Whereas people who understand these laws realize that you know if you put your canoe downstream and let go of the oars, you'll flow. You'll go
Yeah.
right to where you want to be, and everything you want is really downstream. And but it's hard to grasp that in the beginning. It takes a minute. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
do that just because somebody said it. No, because we've been really programmed to hustle and grind, and it doesn't feel right at first to not. And yet
I
that's
think
the
people
key is
when they're in that moment, Leanne, not to cut you off, I think when people are in that moment, like as much as I was in that grind in my past, or if you're having a difficult relationship, it's hard to get out of it, isn't it?
oh, it's very hard, and that's really why we need that guidance. We need that support to even do it, to have somebody who's been there and done that, who's recognized it, that like myself. I mean, I was gonna blow it off, right? I said that. But once you get that guidance and once you, get the understanding from someone who knows how this works, and then you follow that lead, it's like, "Oh, oh." It's such a revelation, and everything is easier. I heard somebody say that the difference between someone who is implementing these laws is like a gazelle that's tearing across a sunlit grassy field versus someone who is slogging with a broken wagon behind their back in knee-deep mud. It's like,
Yeah.
which way do you want to go about life and business? Uh, Can I give you
Yeah,
an
I
example?
think some of this is definitely mind altering for some people who are so used or they're in that rut, they're carrying that load, that burden, and so forth. Very difficult to get into it. So you had said something about the shift,
Mhm.
using your imagination as a strategy. Can you elaborate
Yeah,
on that?
I can. And it's so exciting. It's so life altering that in our brief time here together, it feels like, can I really convey what a difference this mindset shift can make in a person's life? Like your imagination, entrepreneur wise, ca your imagination can become like your marketing department. You have help, can become your sales force, can become your client attraction strategy. Well, what does it even mean? So I have just a ton of examples, and I know I can only share, like, maybe 1 or 2,
I know
but
I've talked to you before. I know. I get it, girl.
so, I'll give you 1, if that's okay.
Of course.
This is of a bank executive. Oh no, I have to give you 2. I mean, the second one's
For
real
sure.
short. Uh, this one is of a bank executive, though, because 'cause we're talking about, business, and when you would see him walk in, he's well-dressed, well-spoken, dignified, with the appearance of a very successful person. But when he opened up, he shared that as he worked for a bank, he wasn't making the money he really wanted to make to raise his sons, to make sure they got in good schools, etc. It was a nice salary, but it was a salary. Okay, so he approached his the people above him to see how he could make advancement, and they told him that if he wanted to make more money, he would need to find employment elsewhere. It had nothing to do with his capability, with his work ethic, with anything. He did everything right, but in the bank, there was no more opportunity. There was nothing there. And they let him know, sorry. It's like that glass ceiling we all talk about for us. Well, he was
Mhm.
experiencing it. So here's what happened. He was instructed to use his imagination, which implemented the laws of attraction, frequency, energy, and vibration, because they do, to just imagine himself at night when you're just about to drop off to sleep and you can tap into the subconscious mind. It's another conversation. To imagine himself in the exact job that he would want. It would have to be something different than the bank. And he was asked, well, what would you like to do instead. And he said he was always fascinated with the idea of being an executive in an, what do I want to say, investment institution, okay, in investments.
Mhm.
So he was instructed, well, imagine yourself there making exactly the money that you want to make. Well, to cut to the chase, uh, several weeks went by and he got a phone call from the president of an investment firm who asked if he would be interested in a position with that firm, making the kind of money he was actually thinking about making. Now, mind you,
Wow.
he didn't know anyone in the investment industry. He didn't know anyone. He didn't go networking. He didn't send out resumes. This president had watched him from a distance and saw his work ethic, his knowledge, um, his integrity, and was drawn to make the phone call. So
That's
he
awesome.
did nothing other than imagine himself in a position somewhere like that, and it was drawn to him like a magnet.
That's like such a reinforcement of when you get aligned with the type of um, goals or roles that are best suited for you, right? I think oftentimes we're so busy trying to force something to work, right? And
Yeah,
imagine if he would have stayed at that bank, just upset because he was unwilling to take that risk, sometimes, which has to be a little bit calculated, a little bit scary. You may be doing something that's very different than what other people around you have done. Right. We often talk about, oh, well, you got the good job, right? Like, what does that mean if I don't have any further advancement? If I'm
yeah,
so wrapped in hustle culture, there's nothing good about it, except for what people may see externally, but not knowing that he had sort of reached the top. There was nowhere else. And all his sons were going to do was going to grow and need and want more. And he needs to provide that for them. So
exactly.
I'm glad the story worked out.
When
So
you
well
wish
said.
upon a star.
I know, right?
Oh, I want to go there. She knows I want to go there. Okay, so I love what you said about externally when people see, well, what's wrong with you, man? You've got this good job, blah blah
You should
blah.
be happy. You got the good
Yeah,
job.
yeah. What? So, um, okay, I'm going to cut to the chase because I do want to tell you what I have for your ladies here too, in case they might want to work with me or even not, because I have a gift for them too. But Barbara knows that I did want to bring up this. It would be like a little ditty from Pinocchio. When you wish upon a star. Now, when we were talking about when we were little kids, well, we all saw this. I had no idea. I would never have imagined that there was truth in this little song. Okay, here goes. And it'll be very familiar. I'm not singing it. but but you'll recognize the lyrics. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. If your
Mhm.
heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, like dreamers do, like a bolt out of the blue, life steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Who would have thought that there was any real truth to that? It feels just so fairy tale.
Again,
Well,
And
it's
Walt did.
childish. That's where we made the mistake when we started to mature in life. We forgot to play. We forgot to wish upon a star. We forgot to use our imagination when we were playing cops and robbers or Indians or
Mhm.
horses. When I was younger, we played horses. I always wanted to be the black horse or the white horse or whatever, and our imaginations, we had so much fun. And what you're talking about is putting some more fun back into our life.
yes, and believe in your dream. That's part of how I even got started in all this is when I started actually being inundated with this type of information from all over the place. I won't bother with all that, but I started realizing we're supposed to have our dream. I remember back when Les Brown would talk about that constantly. Like,
Mhm.
you know, we the only reason we were delivered that dream was to live it. What's good of having a dream if you can't live it? And I remember Neville Goddard said we were not that dream was not delivered to us to torment us, but if we're not living it, it feels like torment. And yet we can have it. Whatever it is, we can have it. And so, it's been my delight and pleasure not only to see so many things unfold for me amazingly, because I just was testing stuff out at first, like, I don't know. And
Mhm.
then I started thinking, "Oh, oh, oh," and then it got my attention like, "Okay, wait, there's something to this." And then ever since then, more and more. And so, but then when you find that out, you don't wanna just keep it to yourself. How could you? So I just started, speaking to clubs, organizations. I didn't get paid. I wasn't a speaker or anything like that. It was just a heart thing. And then
Yeah.
eventually it morphed into, Divas with a Dream, for example, and then Canon coaching and connecting.
And
So let me ask you
and
this.
you
Oh, go
almost
ahead.
have to imagine an end, like that gentleman you spoke at the bank. He wanted to be able to have better for himself, better for his family, and, then he just got himself on that positive path, and then he imagined the end to some degree. He didn't know exactly what that was going to be until he
Right.
received that phone call, and he maybe have had some shifts, changes since then, but it's almost like you need to step into your future self and
Mhm.
feel it to make it real or feel it as it is real.
That's so good, Barb. And you mentioned something in there that I didn't even talk about, but the how is not our part. We don't know how. We don't have to know how, and that's what hangs people up, is to feel like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
but how am I gonna do it?" And if they don't see a way, it's like, "I don't know, is it possible? Maybe not." But the how doesn't matter. He didn't know how. He didn't even know anybody in the industry. He just felt what it would like, to your point, feel like to be there. I have to tell you this one about a little kid. It's super short. Can I?
Good.
Okay. So, this, grandmother went to see Neville Goddard, one of his lectures. And so meanwhile, this 9-year-old kid is in a chair with his truck. He's playing with his truck while the adults are doing what the adults are doing. He's entertaining himself. Afterward, the grandmother approached Neville about a family situation that she wanted some guidance on what to do. As they're leaving, Neville said he was so surprised when this little kid, who the whole time was entertaining himself with his truck, looked up at him. He said his eyes were sparkling. And he said, "I know what I want and I know how to get it." He said, "Now I know how to get it." And Neville said, "Well, what do you want?" He said, "I want a puppy. And and now I know how to get it." And the grandmother instantly stepped in and said, "You know better than that. You're not getting a puppy," because the father had made it crystal clear in no uncertain terms that they were not getting a dog. He said, "I
Oh,
hate dogs. That's not happening." So she told him, "Give it up. You know better than that." But as they're going out the door, he looked up at Neville again and said, "I know how I'm gonna do it." And he said, "How are you gonna do it?" He said, "At night before I go to bed, I'm gonna see myself with my puppy. I'm gonna feel the leash in my hand as I walk my puppy around the neighborhood." That's what he told him. Well, 6 weeks later, his dad went to work as per usual. One of his workmates brought in a litter of puppies that his dog just had. Now, without this kid working on this energetically, what the dad's response would have been, is like, "Get those dogs away from me."
mhm.
But no, for some reason, he picked up one of the puppies. You hear it coming. Took the puppy to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
house. Now, grandmother's shocked, mother's floored, and he can't even explain his own actions. The only person in the room that wasn't surprised was the little kid, the little
The
boy.
young man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's way too cool. That is so cool.
That is a really cool story. I love what you're bringing in terms of the conversation of just leveraging your imagination as a way to, use it to grow your business in a different way, right? But also in a way to think about what are those things that you want to accomplish, whether it's, personal or professional, and how we have this sort of untapped database, between our ears that we could be leveraging. And sometimes we're so focused on the how. And what I've had to learn, oftentimes it's more about if you know the what and the who, the how will normally like unfold on its own. And I love that story.
Takes care of itself.
Cool.
Can, can I
Um,
tell you what we have for the ladies, Barb? Or is it not time?
Yeah.
yeah, please do.
Okay. So I do have something very special. Oh, one thing that I love to do, I do regular, private coaching as well, but ongoing. But I love to do a 1-day intensive, a 1-day law of attraction VIP intensive. And you do feel like a VIP because everything is focused on you. What's working, what's not, what's next in order to get to your dream. We unpack everything with regard to what's going on with you specifically, laser focused. And I even put the rest of my business on the back burner while I'm talking to you, because it's all about you. And so I ask you questions you probably have never asked yourself. I help you get out of your own head, because that's where entrepreneurs reside. It's a limited way of thinking, but here we are. And it collapses time. It's like 3 or 4 months of coaching in a day. It helps us stop procrastination. We make decisions that day. Overwhelm goes away. There's a lot. Okay. But for your ladies at WOW, which Barb knows how much I love this organization. Anyway, it's 50% discounted. And so if you
All for the month of February, or when are you offering this for?
February,
The
that's what
month
it's
of
okay.
February. That's great.
That's it.
So, and how do they get in touch with you, Leanne? What's the
So
best way?
they can call or text me is the absolute best way. And then I'll give you something else too. 330-400-9814. You can text or call me there. And then I have a couple of freebies too, because I do hold mastermind groups every single week, manifestation mastermind groups. And I would invite you to come for free.
Oh, definitely. I've been there. And I think this is great that we're talking about imagination, because as an adult, it's kind of hard to do that. And I do have affirmations that I use myself. I do use prayer. I use multiple things like at nighttime, these techniques, and I do believe they increase your confidence level as well
Oh,
and
yeah.
bring you back to a place where you can start being more creative and understand that repel those magnets. That is so true. You talked about the law of attraction, which is why the 3 of us are together here on this
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Believe it. I believe it.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you come in my home, you'll see little signs of papers randomly placed that start off saying, "I am so grateful and happy to have attracted," right? And dot, 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 whatever those things may be. Because I've learned that, as I'm focused on what I'm taking in and what I want to be focused on, rather than not being focused on what I don't want, having those things to keep me focused on what I want and why I'm thankful and grateful and happy to have received them, because I know they're coming to me. I don't know when, but I know they're coming.
oh my gosh, girl. Yes, indeed. In fact, you made me think of Einstein. And this is one of the things that affected me to pay attention outside of just my own experiments. But, we don't think of Einstein as a woo-woo kind of guy. Okay, he's science straight up.
I see
Okay.
the hair, like my husband. It's a
Crazy hair.
yeah.
Yeah. So he may have a bad what do you call it? Hairstyle oh, I don't know, choices, but the thing is he's all science, and he said everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency with the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Then he said it can be no other way. He ended that particular quote by saying, "This is not philosophy, this is physics." And so as we were talking, when you were saying that, um, Q, you call that's good?
Mhm.
Q? I see
That's
Q.
good.
Okay, Quincy, is that thinking about what you want beyond that frequency, and then you will receive what you want. Conversely, if you're on the wrong frequency, you'll get that too. One
Oh,
other thing
exactly.
say was, if anyone will float me their email address, then I can send them an invitation to the mastermind group that they're uh, could come as my guest. So my email is cannoncoaching.connecting@yahoo.com.
So they can find your website too at canoncoaching.com,
Correct.
which is a great way for them to then connect you that way. That way they don't have to think about all those different letters and dots and so forth.
Yeah. Same
I think
with
this has been,
dream.org as well.
yeah. Oh, .org. I'm sorry, .org. That's right. That's
.org.
right.
For divas with a dream.org, but then
Ah,
Cannon Coaching.
that is amazing too, the group that you've put together. So appreciate you bringing imagination back to our frontal lobe so that we can use that in our both professional and personal life. If you want a puppy, you might want to consider that. And you or someone new in your life or somebody you're trying to attract to your business. So you might want to go back to the imagination and know that that energy, if you're feeling the positive energy, it's a good thing. If you're feeling that repel, just stop fighting yourself. We really appreciate the fact that you have found attraction here at Optimize Her2. We're on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. You can find us right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can go on our podcast site too, Quincy.
Yeah, so you can absolutely make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things on your social medias. Don't keep us a secret. Share us with your professional network, your personal network. We are here with the sole purpose to elevate, educate, and empower those around us, men, women, and those in between and those non-subscribing, of how to just take the daily lessons that we've learned in life and in business and just make sure that you're being the best version of yourself for today and your future self, and keeping in mind of what you want to attract going forward. So, Leanne, we thank you so much today also for being our honored guest.
My goodness, you've been amazing, Leanne, and Quincy, as always, you are as well. Thank you, ladies, and everyone for viewing us here at YouTube at Optimize Her2. Stay well.
Bye for now.